What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Grind Force Gaming. Nova here, and today's video is going to be a little bit more of an in-depth look on a video that Datscat and I created just the other day, and that was our video on the fighter priority for SSS and also what fighters you can bring to SS and basically just shelf because you're going to get the highest value from them by unlocking their fighter spirit. So that being said, we've got Datscat on the call here today. What are we looking at right now?
We are looking at a wonderful tier list, and thank you for having me again, Nova. I
Oh,
truly
of course.
appreciate you taking the time.
Couldn't do
Um,
it without you.
oh, that's awesome. We are looking at a tier list that's designed to help you get to divination the fastest and the most efficiently. Also, building fighters that will help you out in the late game as well. Um, I was hoping that you would explain this list a little bit, Nova, as the creator of it, and get us going today.
I will gladly do so. So basically, this is based on my experience in the game, and Datscat and I did, talk about this a little bit in advance. So we're definitely on the same page here for the most part with how this functionality is, and that would be that this is going to be your top choice for a lineup in the early and mid game. It's going to be what's going to help you progress farther because ideally, right? And I don't think that this is a secret to anyone. You're going to want to see Bison up in this, filling out this lineup. But he's not that easy to get in the early game. Like you can get lucky and you can end up with him, but in the early game, he still kind of fits in that pay to win category, I would say. So this is really your ideal situation because you want to get to 1540. You want to unlock divination. This is the baseline for the team that's going to do it for you. The reason I picked these three, Zangief being the first one that we're going to talk about here, and I'm just going to pull him up on the screen here for you guys. The reason that we have him picked is he works well as a fighter / tank, and it's because he's doing a lot of speed up. He's helping you get first hit, and he's also introducing stun and interrupt, which is one of the most impressive mechanics in the game and one you should definitely take advantage of. We have Chun-Li in here, and my Chun-Li is pretty stacked, as you can see. She is doing crazy AoE damage that increases depending on how many targets she hits. She's doing speed up. She has increased damage on armor break. She's just an amazing fighter. And Elena, of course, she's the best healer in the game. We're focusing on her here for skill 1, and that's going to be doing a lot of healing for your team. And as you get her fighter spirit unlocked, she does heal over time. Her passive also boosts defense and it boosts HP. So that's why I put them there. Datscat, what do you think about that?
Well, I agree with everything you just said. I will also point out that in a combo chain, those three fighters fit very well together. You can
Yes,
start the combo with Chun-Li, and in your first slot, you can put Elena.
correct.
Your second slot, you can put Zangief, because that's where you want him for that interrupt.
Correct.
And then you can finish it off with Chun-Li.
Yep.
Um, or another damage dealer or whoever you have gotten to this point. But those three fighters up top, they will translate into your end game strategies. You can't miss with those three. You really can't. And because Elena is that first skill slot, she works really well in there. If you
Agreed.
notice in the priority alternatives, there are a few fighters that would also fit in that first skill slot.
Correct.
Street Poison, Blanca, Fashion Blanca a little bit later once you passively unlock him. Those three fighters all fit in that first slot really, really, really well.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
uh,
regular Guile does as well. His first skill, if
yes.
I remember correctly, and I will actually just look that up for you guys real quick. I'm pretty sure his first slot does armor break. I think his
Yeah.
super and his first slot do armor break. Let's take a look here real quick. Skills, first one, yes, increase. It does do stacking of armor break. So there you go.
Yeah, so it's really helpful to have those roles filled out. You don't want to set up a lineup or start leveling characters if you can't put them into a combo chain together.
Right.
So I really, really, really like the Zangief, Chun-Li, Elena play. And ideally, if you can get M. Bison, you would put him up there
Right.
and just have him out front. But again, this list is designed to get you to divination, which is your route to unlocking Bison free to play
Right.
at level 1540, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
That's correct. Okay.
The other way is
Um,
to get to level 9 in your, like, I don't even remember what it's called. It's like your hero mastery, or your, like, it's like your VIP thing that you have that you passively build with time. As Datscat mentioned already, we have the priority alternates here. The first two are support roles. You are getting damage from Rose, but you're getting the Taro cards from her, which are great for buffing and debuffing the other team. You've got crit damage increase for Street Poison. I use her all the time. I think that she's amazing. Definitely get her to SS. But then, Datscat, what do you think about the rest of these here? Like, if you're not needing to fill with an additional support, if you're just needing a little bit more damage, what would you think?
yeah, I think you could run an alternate shock team out of this, and I actually might, if you don't have Blanca leveled up um, for shock purposes,
Mm-hmm.
then throwing a poison and a combat guile in there might be really, really good for
Okay.
you.
Combat Guile
Um,
I have down in the benched section, and the only reason he's down there is because I believe that he would be a lower priority than the other fighters that we have in the priority alternates. Now, that being said, Combat Guile did get me personally through a lot of the early game stages. So
yeah, yes,
this isn't to say
exactly.
that these fighters aren't good. They're great. But I
But
would
they
prioritize
fill a
these.
role. They fill a
Right.
role,
Right.
and as far as the rest of the priority alternates, you can't go wrong with any of these fighters. So you always have to keep in mind, whatever the game is giving you is who you have to use. And
Correct.
if you've done a bunch of research and watched a bunch of videos, and people are telling you use this fighter, there are multiple ways to get through the early game, the late early game, and the early mid game. And any of these fighters are going to be great for you.
Right.
I would recommend any of those fighters in the top two. In that third row, the no bison alternatives. Basically, I don't have M Bison. Let's say, who can I
Right.
build as a tank? Who can I build to put up front to soak up damage? And any of those fighters are going to be great for you as well.
Right. And that's in the event that you feel like you do need a tank, because I will say in the early and mid game, you might not need a tank, especially if you have a well-built B Sangif and a well-built Elena, because if you're putting in, like, let's just say, let's say ideal world here, you're running these three. I would say either adding in regular Guile
Mm.
or adding in Dulcim might be the best play. If you need some more stun or some more control, you could put Blanca in as well. He also kind of functions as a hybrid tank.
Yeah.
But if you needed to throw, well, so the reason that you don't need a tank is because you're getting interrupt here, and you're getting heal, and you're getting defense and HP boosting to your highest attack fighter, which is going to be your damage dealer. And if you're interrupting skills, you're not going to be taking a lot of damage. So you don't really need someone in the front soaking up damage. So that's why I put these down here as alts, because I think you can get through a lot of the early and mid game even just by interrupting and overpowering with high attack. My opinion.
Exactly. Yeah, I used Blanca. I did. I mean, every now and then, I would sub E Honda in for his first skill stun or his headbutt stun.
Sure.
But that was before I had B Sangif.
Right.
Uh, mostly I used Blanca as a tankier fighter.
Yeah.
In my front line there, and that worked very well until I got M Bison, and then he has remained out front for me ever since.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I did use E Honda. I know two of the stages that I see talked about in global chat a lot, 1040 and 1240, have been very difficult for people. I used E Honda to clear it, but another Grind Force Gaming team member, Falcon, actually made a video showing how you can interrupt on those stages with Beast Zangief, and that was really the eye-opening moment for me, where I thought, you don't really need a tank. You just need to interrupt so they're not doing the skills. It totally shuts down Mad Ryu. It totally shuts down enemy combat guiles.
Yep.
It's an incredible thing to use. You can make an argument sometimes to use regular Zangief because he has a 25% damage reduction for fire. And if you're struggling with an enemy Dulcim, this might just be what you need to get through one skill cycle.
Yeah, just one skill cycle.
Right.
On the even way farther in the campaign nodes, the late 20s, I'm still using the interrupt mechanic and
Right.
to get through those missions.
You
You
actually
almost
just
have to.
made, yeah, you actually just made a new video showing the use of Bisangi for an extremely difficult story chapter you were on, didn't you?
I certainly did, and kind of the premise of that video was I don't really like playing the game in manual. I always forget to use my X skills.
Or
And
you
so
cancel the auto too soon so you don't do the third skill.
yeah, oh, it's horrible. And so the premise of that video was to show how you can use turning off and on manual and auto in order to time up Beast Zangief's interrupt skill to get you through those harder story notes. And I'm
Right.
gonna tell you right now, it's still translating. I'm still using it almost every single story node that I have an issue on, or there is a certain fighter that I
Yeah.
need to stop from comboing. That's my technique, and
Yep.
it's really awesome. The card will be in the top of this video
Yep.
for that.
Yep. I'll put that up here for you guys so you can check it out. I actually just today, because today is Sunday, which is the reset, I just got a borrowed Bisangi from somebody in our guild, and it helped me beat 2632, which I could not beat. I probably played it 300, 400 times, just like
Yep.
clicking it on auto. Couldn't beat it. I borrowed a Bisangi and I beat it. So
Yeah, it's incredible.
it's amazing. And I'd like to just say one last thing about these two as well here is that they don't need to be super built. I know it can be tough in the early game to have the fodder to do 2-win faction, especially if you're bringing regular Guile in here. Now you got to think about getting fodder for 3 of them to get their grades up. You can put B Zangief in the back in the tag position and just have him pop in for his interrupt. He can be A grade. He can be A plus. I beat a bunch of story nodes in 22 and 23 with an A plus grade B Zangief because I put him in tag. That way he's not getting hit. So consideration.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that conversation really quickly. You might want to think about building somebody like Dulcim as well,
Yeah.
just so that you can split up your fodder. Because
Sure.
if you're using all of your fodder on wind characters, you might run a little more slowly through those campaign nodes just because you
Right.
don't have uh, the fodder to get up there. So using a fire faction in there, and if you do, you'll notice there are not many fire factions up in the top priorities list because they're
There are
just
not.
okay. They're
Yeah.
okay. They don't offer the same value as the other factions do,
Right.
except for Dulcim.
Right.
Dulcim is really strong.
Dulcim is very good.
Uh,
And once you get Fashion Blanca, I mean, he's a legendary faction, but he's
yeah,
doing flame damage. So
yep,
you
you
can't
bet.
use, you're not going to use flame fodder for him. You don't even use fodder for legendary fighters. That's not how they function. But yeah, I mean, that just, it comes down to who you're getting, right? If you're getting a
Mhm.
bunch of Blanca and you're kind of already done doing your grade benefits to Elena, then start using your lightning fodder on Blanca. If you're
Mhm.
not getting a bunch of Blancas, but you're getting a ton of poisons, then build poison.
Mhm.
Build who you are getting. But like as far as flame goes, all that fodder should just go to Dulcim.
Yeah, you
Period.
should just sit on it.
I don't care how many Dudleys you get. I don't do it. Just go for the Dulcim.
I would, and we'll see. We're right before the release of Akuma, correct?
We are,
Couple-
yes. So we'll see.
And we'll see about him.
Yeah.
He might quickly rise to the priority alternatives, but we don't
Yep.
know enough about him yet to
Right. And we will do a new
speak up
tier
on him.
list when that time comes. So
Most definitely.
with all that being said, I think that this is a solid concept for people that are just starting out, or even people that are finding themselves stuck in the mid game. If you can make these switches, if you can start integrating these heroes, I think you're going to see a lot more success in your progression.
Correct. Especially if you start using the interrupt mechanic.
Correct. Yeah, that is key. Be Zangief, guys, for the win.
He's the man. He's the man.
Yeah.
And he looks cool.
He does. He does look cool. And the spin looks cool.
It does.
But anyways, guys, yeah, thank you so much for stopping in to watch the video. I hope that this helps you out. If you want to check out some more Street Fighter Duel videos, we have a bunch of them here on our channel now. We're constantly making more. Dascat and I are going to be doing a lot more of these. So if you have any ideas in the comments, videos you'd like to see, just let us know and we can do that for you. Love to hear what you think about this lineup, as well as hear if it was a successful transition for you if you did make these changes. So take the time, subscribe, hit us up in the comments, and we will check you guys in the next video.
Thanks, Nova. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming, Dascat.